This lecture is going to be about going over the different types of plastics and the identification codes that go along with each plastic. Please note that this is more of a general overview because the plastic industry is quite complex and there's thousands and thousands of different types of plastics. So this is not necessarily a technical overview, but more of a general overview so that you have a good idea of how to start looking for different specific things. So in general, on most household items that are made out of plastic, you should be able to flip over any of those plastics and look at the bottom, and there will be a number code, numbers 1 through 7. Now each one of those numbers represents a different type of plastic material, and that numbering system is known as the SPI Resin Identification coding system, and is a set of symbols placed on these plastics to identify the polymer type. It was originally developed by the Society of Plastics Industry, or the SPI, and it was created in 1988 to be used internationally. Its primary purpose of the coding system is to allow efficient separation of different polymer types for recycling. The reason that this is important is because every one item of the wrong type of resin could actually ruin an entire mix of plastics. So if you have an entire ton of PET, which is typically water bottles, and then you have some HDPE in there, which is typically laundry detergent or milk jugs, that can actually really affect that entire load of plastic, which is really bad. So in order to find the symbol used in the code, consisting of 3 arrows that go clockwise to form a rounded triangle, which enclose a number. But when the number is omitted, the symbol is known as the universal recycling symbol, which is indicating that it's just a generic recyclable material. However, these codes do not indicate how hard the item is to recycle, or how often the plastic may be recycled. It should also be noted that these codes has no other meaning aside from identifying the actual polymer used in the manufacturing process of these materials. So now I'd like to go through each one of these codes and explain what the definition is. So number 1, PET or PETE, which is polyethylene. This is most commonly picked up and accepted by 99% of recycling centers across the country and is typically found in water bottles, soda bottles, strapping, carpet, and now a new use that has really started to explode is fiber that is created from that. So for different types of tote bags, and it's actually being made in clothing. Number 2 is HDPE, high density polyethylene. This is also another very common plastic that is accepted by the majority of recycling centers across the country. And its primary use is for milk jugs, grocery bags, laundry detergent, playground equipment, different types of recycling and garbage bins, and a newer use of this is becoming plastic lumber, which you're starting to see a much higher use of. Number 3 is PVC, polyvinyl chloride. I would say that this material is more extensively recycled in Europe than it is in the US, but there still are recycling centers that accept this material. This is most commonly found in pipes, window profile siding, fencing, flooring, shower curtains, lawn chairs, and non-food bottle type material. It's a very hard and rigid type plastic and is meant to last for a long time. Number 4, LDPE, or low density polyethylene. You don't typically see a lot of LDPE that is recycled through curbside programs, but is definitely found in a lot of business and manufacturing settings. The primary uses that you will see this in is the rings around the 6-packs of soda cans, and probably the majority is shrink wrap. It's a clear stretch wrap film that can be wrapped around products to keep them in place, but can also easily be cut and disassembled. Number 5 is PP, or polypropylene. It is a very common plastic that you encounter on a daily basis, but is not recycled by all recycling centers across the country. You will typically find number 5 in auto parts, industrial fibers, food containers, and dishware. Number 6, PS, or polystyrene, also known by most households as styrofoam, although styrofoam is a trademark name and is not the technical name for it. Polystyrene can be recycled through different curbside programs, although I would say through my experience it is not as common. It's actually a very controversial type of material because there are so many recycling centers that will not accept it, but it is one of the most commonly found plastics that you will encounter on a daily basis. Some of the different products that are most commonly used with polystyrene is packaging peanuts, clamshell containers for food, cafeteria trays, plastic utensils, toys, video cassettes, desk accessories, and insulation board. Make sure that if you do try and recycle this, to ask your recycling provider first if they recycle it. And finally, number 7. Number 7 is universally known as other. So if you see a container that has a number 7 symbol in there, that means any other plastic besides 1 through 6 or a multi-layer combination of different types of plastics. This is also a very controversial number because it really does open up the floodgates by using the word other to mean pretty much any one of the other thousands and thousands of different codes for plastics. And I would say that it has not traditionally been accepted by recycling companies, specifically for the reason that they don't know what it really is. So that was a general overview of the different plastic resin codes that you can find on just about any household plastic item.